at my door, not to you peoples. That's Travis's job, right?
I guess.
Yeah, he won't do it.
We're gonna need it though. Everyone that comes back is gonna be dead. Now they're all gonna be dead.
Yeah, October 30th, Monday. Good to see you all here today. And if you're watching over the internet, so welcome also. I have done the homework and the test. And maybe, would you like for me to pass them back?
Yes, sir.
I'd rather go over it on Wednesday. We have another test on Friday, so maybe we should prepare for that.
Oh, that's an idea too.
Also, we're going to work on some 213 worksheets, just for fun. Well, here's the thing about the test.
Have more pencils, guys.
Here's the thing about the test. I only required 2 lines, but that meant every chord was worth 5 points. So it didn't really change the grades all that much, but people did finish. So what I did on the bonus was give you a half a point for every correct chord, which was, I felt was pretty generous, actually. What was the other thing? If you did better on the third one than the 2 that you checked, I just changed your checks. But that didn't really happen that much. I had some things happen on this test that I've never had happen before, ever. So, it's gonna have to find a new way to teach some stuff, I guess. Not your problem. Kyle's in the wind ensemble.
He's in Missouri right now.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. Kyle's grandfather has passed away, so keep him in your thoughts and offer to help him if you can. And Victoria was kind of talking about you.
Wait, for what? Yes.
I've never had anyone ever do that exactly, and it's pretty disappointing because the part writing is quite good.
Oh, here.
Do you do that often?
I don't know.
Okay. Victoria didn't do anything all that weird. It's just she had sharps for naturals, and that was troubling somehow. Is Sam here? Is Jake here? Do you see Jake? Do you see Haley? Dalton. Michael. Do you see Michael? You have to work for it. Okay, the next most popular mistake I think was parallel fifths and octaves. That was disturbing. A little bit. So minutes exactly. I needed homework 7.
I noticed that once I got back to my room.
Oh, the other thing in the homework, we don't seem to know really what a neighbor 6-4 chord is so much. Also, doubling whole notes is easier than you think. This is going to be an exciting video, I can tell already. Michael. K and a J. Anybody missing anything that they think they shouldn't be missing at this point? Any questions? I do want to go over the test, but could we all try something difficult for a minute? Let's do that. Now, the first example is 2 lines, all right? And you can tell the end of it by the double bar. Now, the first line has a weird double bar on it too. That is in error. Okay, don't do anything wrong yet. Okay? Just hold still. Okay, let's make choices on each of the things that happens here. We're going to do it together. And maybe let's try to just focus for a few minutes here, okay? Now, how do we choose this first chord? It's given. Okay? All good with that, right? Okay, next thing is a sharp A with 6-5. Now, I'm not going to write the next note. I don't want you to look at the next note. Just look at that note, okay? If you have this note here, you have to think this is a first inversion chord, right? This means that's a leading tone. Do you understand that? So it's leading to 2. Okay, so this is 5 of 2. Do we understand that? Do you see how I came with that? Okay, how did I do this? Well, there's no alterations to the 6 and the 5, right? So that means this chord is F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E. That's a 5/7 chord of B. Do we understand that? Okay, so my first choice of spelling this may be changed after I determine what the next note is. All right? Do we understand that? But I'm gonna make my best choices with just this much information. Okay? My best choice with this much information would be to do that. Do you understand why I made that choice? I kept everything as intact as possible. Also, the seventh of the 5, 7 of 2 chord was approached, I'm going to use a word here, obliquely. Do we understand what oblique means? One voice stays the same, the other voice moves. This stays the same. And we often approach the 7th as if it is a suspension. And a suspension is approached by the same note and resolves downward by step. Did you understand that much? Do we understand suspension? What's 3 parts of the suspension? Preparation, non-harmonic tone, which is the suspension, resolution, downward by step. Preparation is a chord tone. The suspension is a non-harmonic tone on a strong beat rhythmically, and it resolves downward by step. Chord tone, non-chord tone, chord tone. That's a suspension figure. So you could see that this is a suspension figure, particularly if this note goes down like that, right? Yes? Good, 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 good. Now, if this were to resolve, that would be what is next, right? But that is not what is next. What is next is a natural with a /4/2. What does this mean? This is a 3rd inversion 7th chord. Okay? So that means this is the 7th of B, D, F, A, or B, D sharp, which is a 4th above A, right? L, oh, I forgot what I was doing. B, D sharp, F sharp, A. So the 7th, instead of going up to that, goes down to form another 5/7 chord. Okay? Now this chord is now the leading tone to what note? That's right, an E. Okay? So, without knowing what came here, I determined what this would be according to that. Okay, and then that just happens to be. Now we'll go ahead and look ahead. Generally, 4/2 chords resolve to first inversion chords, yes? This first inversion chord, holy smoly, happens to be the 5 chord, doesn't it? So look at our progression. 1, 5 of 2, yes, to 5 of 5. Please hear in your head what I would say about the 5 of 5 chord. It is an altered 2 chord. Altered 2 chord. Yeah? So you can therefore understand why 5 of 2 goes to 5 of 5. Frederick, you with me on that? So now we got all the way to 5. So my chord progression here is 1 to 5, isn't it? With these intervening, what is 5 of 2? If I said 5 of 5 was an altered 2 chord, using that same kind of pedagogy, what would you call 5 of 2?
What's your second chord?
I wouldn't. What is the root of the 5 of 2 chord?
F sharp.
What, if you count it up
Maybe
from
6.
A, 6. So that's an altered 6 chord, right? So our progression is 1 to 6 to 2 to 5. Does that make sense to you? But we're using chromaticism to further drive that progression. The leading tones make for. So if I'm at that means this note does not go to that note. Okay? If we're resolving that as a 5-7 chord, which we are, right? Inversion of 5-7, what is the locally tonicized note? Good. It's an E. So that means that's 7 to 1. What is this? Amazingly, that is true. And this, very good. Rocky, did you understand that? Okay. So the X no longer marks the spot. And this is 4 to 3. Okay? So now we have done all of this to 5. Okay, but you know what? There's more chords after that. Excuse me while I think about life and faith and stuff. Okay, so this says 402 also. What in the world is that? Okay, what does 4-2 signify in third inversion? Fourth inversion would be a 9th chord. Yeah. So, what's the chord? You're probably right, I just can't hear what you're saying. 5 of 4 is one way to say it.
An altered 1.
Altered 1 is also true. Both of those are exactly what I'm looking for there. The altered note is in the bass, that's the 7. So what's the triad above it? A, C sharp, E. That's your one triad, right? So this, so we need to do something about that. Okay, at this time in our lives, we have to make a choice. And it's not really between good and evil. That would be easy, wouldn't it? We have to determine where A, C sharp, and E are going to reside. I'm thinking one of the E's is going to stay E, but which one? If you were me, what would you say? You say keep the top or move the top? Keep the top. Who votes for keep? 2 votes for keep. The rest of you didn't even register, did you? No, you didn't. Register to vote, yeah. Y'all are 18, right? Y'all can vote. When I was in school, in elementary school, we got to have sack lunches in our classrooms because the polling machines would be in the cafeteria. Pretty exciting day. Potato chips, luxury item. You have a question or just a quizzical look on your face? Okay, you're wanting to know what the answer is. I think there's more than one correct answer. Okay, why might this be one way to do this? I'll tell you. This is my thinking. The voices that do move in contrary motion to the bass. Okay? Now, what if I were to tell you that you could write this chord also? What would be a positive aspect of that chord in terms of working with a basic voice leading pattern? What's positive about that? We don't have that whole contrary motion thing going for us.
Economy of motion. Move for us.
What was that you said?
Economy of motion. If you move.
Meaning the interval, the greatest interval is a third as opposed to a fourth. That's kind of cool too. And then this way begets this, yes? And the other way would beget that. What? Now here is where we could decide, well, wait a second, Dr. Durr, what's the next note? Well, we'd already kind of determined that that's what that was going to be. One of those two things, right? You're with me, Rocky? Okay. You with me? All right. Make sure east side and west side are. Okay, we're moving really slow here, but this is the kind of things that you can do really fast too if you practice doing it the same way the time. Okay, so all that being said, which outcome do you like better? First one? Second one?
Do the second one.
Okay, I see why you say the second one, and I kind of tended to agree. Perish that thought. Because you're gonna love this. You have more staff to work with. But that may not even be true. Just because Haley is giving me such terrible luck, we will just proceed with. Okay, already. All right, that's going to be that. Now, here is our first chance to deal with a root position 7 chord. Now, what in the world is that chord? Is that a 5/7 chord? It looks just so weird down there at this point. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna aspire to completeness here. I could do that. That's one thing that I could do correctly, yes? The other thing I could do correctly is make this incomplete like that, right? But I think the reason I chose this is just for a completeness. Now, is that a direct fit? Say no. You're wrong. It is. Why is it a direct fit? Doesn't matter what the bass does. It only matters what the soprano does, right? What it matters with the bass is that it's similar motion. I don't think y'all really get that. It's not something you look for, is it? So this is what I want you to do for the rest of your life. Check every chord to every chord to see if you have a direct fifth or octave. When you have a problem with one thing, proof your work to that one thing. Nobody's going to do that, are you? All right. So we can't do that. Sorry. Now, what other option for completeness do we have? May we do that? Say yes. You're wrong. Why? Why? And I'll probably still be discussing this next year if y'all are crazy enough to take the junior class. Continuous music majors, you've got to take junior theory. Just tell me what it is. The D in the tenor does what? Someone else. It is about the D in the tenor. What did the D in the tenor do? Let me give you a hint. What is the interval of D to G sharp? Ixnay on augmented fourth, right? You don't get to do that. Augmented intervals that are bulletin or forbidden. So can we do that? The answer is no. No. Now, what are we gonna do? I think we're gonna have to go incomplete. I think we're gonna have to go incomplete. I kind of like this though. This expansion to the E is kind of fun, but let's not get involved in fun things. All right, here is an incomplete 5/7 chord. Yeah? All right. Solve that riddle. Tell me something about the next chord. True. What is that? Okay. If you just said the word F in the key of A, what number would it be? So it is what we might call a flat 6 chord. Yes? Flat major 6. What is that? What do we call that? It begins with B and rhymes with borrowed chord. Borrowed chord. Excellent. It's borrowed from what? Not did, no, go in the wrong direction. When we speak borrowed, we're borrowing it from the parallel minor. F major is 6 in the key of A minor. So this, ladies and germs, is you would do this. You could put a flat sign there, but it's just minus. And you would put a square around it if you were doing a Roman numeral analysis. Do you remember back in August we discussed this exact thing? I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say I discussed it, and this is what we discussed. Okay. Flat major 6, borrowed. So now we have to make this work for this. What's flat? What note do we want to double? Or let me try that again. You know, if 5 goes to 6, it's still deception, right? What note would we want to double in deception? That's exactly right. The tonic. What's the tonic? Anybody? A. Okay, that's going to be a bit of a problem because of this incomplete chord. So let's see what we can do about that. Okay, this has to go to C natural. Now in the world of chromaticism, we don't double chromatically altered notes, do we? No. So we really have to double that note. Thing is, that's kind of crap part writing, or another way to say that is, I don't like that part writing. Okay? So what are we going to do? Well, we've got to go back, Jack, and do it again. Okay? And so what does that mean? I think it means this right here, doesn't it? Oh no! Now we have to write this whole thing to get to there. Isn't that fun? Okay, let me show you how you might do that. Dun, 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 dun. Heroic music sounding. Okay. Doesn't that look correct? Yes? So I think all of this was caused by Haley, obviously. Caused us to grind out the writing on our paper. But isn't that beautiful now? I just love the beauty of all that. Na, 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 na. Okay. So, in a bigger sense, this has gone 1 to 5 to deception. Do you see that? Now in between there, we have 1 to 6 to 2 to 5 to 1. Do you understand that? To 4 to 5 to 6. Wasn't that fun? Let's just listen to this motion to deception in a major key and relish this. I don't do exercises in the major keys much. that sounds almost Mozartian. Let's get it in the major key. I can't even play in a major key. Okay, wasn't that fun? Has there ever been anything funner? A lot of things that seem like fun just really will just kind of make you nauseous. You know, like the spinning teacups and stuff like that. I get seasick on mountain roads. It's a terrible feeling. Okay, who can tell me do, what is the meaning of this -6 minus -3? Okay, if I see something like that in a major key, I tend to think Neapolitan. And in fact, I think we might say with all certainty that this is the Neapolitan. All right, so what do we need here? What are we going to double? Say D. You're right. I've only been like right about a third of the time when I ask you that. Okay, so we got us some D's. So I think that's really where we're at, don't you think? What does that go to? What are the things that the Neapolitan 6 chords go to? Okay. Five, 5, 7. What else? Cadential 6/4. Yeah, those are all easy ones. What else? We've done this a bunch. To prolongate the progression to 5. Anybody? Anybody? 7/7 of 5, right? 7/7 of 5 is chromatic motion in the bass. Is that what we have here? Whoa! I could tell that we were going to have it next because that just seemed like exercise that I would write. Okay? So, if you're doing middle school theory, you'll want to be able to write exercises like this too. Yes, they would. Now, -7 tells me that's going to be a C natural, doesn't it tell you that? So I'm going to have D sharp, F sharp, A, and C natural. I like this very much. For one reason, my F gets to become an F sharp, and that's just kind of nice for me. I'm going to go ahead and add that natural sign because otherwise I'd mark it wrong. Okay, now, what do we know? Well, this is a fully diminished 7th chord. Let's go ahead and just write everything down. This is why we go through 7/7 of 5 is to have this chromatic motion in the bass. And isn't it lovely? It really is lovely. What's the first thing we do with the fully diminished 7th chord? What's the first thing we do?
Resolve the tritone of the bass.
Yes. What's tritone with the bass? The A, you got it, so we're there. We have to look back here, do we have any G naturals? No, so the G sharp lives alone. Okay, the next thing is resolve any other diminished fifth. Now, anybody see a problem with that? Say we all do. We all see a problem with that. I don't think that's an augmented second, but it does involve the G sharp.
Doubling a third.
That's not exactly wrong to double the third. To double the bleeding tone, just for Halloween, we're gonna call it the bleeding tone. Doubling the leading tone is wrong. So what does that mean? We have to go change everything again. Okay. So back here, we need to prepare to get to the non-doubled leading tone down there. But let's maybe get right. Okay, what might, okay, here's where we have a choice, sort of, right? Going from here, we don't have a choice here, so we have to have this choice here. Now, what is it that we want out of this life is probably to get the F sharp up in here. Okay? Can we get to that chord like that? Some would say, yes, you can. All right. So why does that make a difference? Okay, one thing, that A still has to go to G sharp. What's the second thing? Resolve any other diminished fifth. Is that a diminished fifth? The correct answer is no, it's an augmented fourth, and I don't know what to do about that. Right. Now, so what are my other options if it's an augmented fourth? That's a theory word, but that's not exactly what we're looking for. What may the augmented fourth do in the fully diminished seventh chord?
Similar motion
To
a perfect interval.
perfect fourth. Yes. So wouldn't that be that? Is that the most exciting thing you've ever seen? Probably. Okay, did you see the choices I made and why I made them? And why having a diminished fifth and an augmented fourth is more useful than two diminished fifths? When moving to the 5 chord, particularly. Okay, I think that's enough for today. Seeing how we were given this chord, we did 10 chords today. Okay? Were you able to follow along at all? Okay. Thank you very much. I will see you on Wednesday.